Washington's a pretty blue state. Like, why would there be riots and protests there? Would it be because Trump's going to win? We don't want your troops because they said that Trump was going to take over the Capitol if he was allowed to stand up National Guard there. We heard it. They're like, no. So what other problems are there in the election that DHS is communicating? Is it about the incendiary devices from the Free Gaza crowd, as alleged? The National Guard out in Washington, courtesy of Governor Jay Inslee. And here is the press release that he dropped over on the official Governor Washington website. It says Inslee activates some Washington National Guard to support public safety activities. And we're always curious about this because we know other people like Jenna Griswold. They deputize people from their government and then their deputies go and do their bidding. What was Jenna Griswold's bidding in Colorado? Well, to remove Trump from the ballot and so on and so forth. So here what they say is this is a purely precautionary measure taken in response to Department of Homeland Security warnings. What about Russia? Regarding threats to election infrastructure and other recent activities that have occurred in Washington. Like in Portland, Oregon, where they were burning ballot drop boxes with Free Gaza, allegedly incendiary devices. Now, the Guard will be on standby for 4 days, beginning Monday, November 4th, and ending just after midnight on Thursday. Governor activated National Guard members. They're on standby just in the event that they're asked to support local law enforcement. Kind of reminds me, it's not a bad idea if there's going to be problems, right, to just be extra cautious. Like Trump tried to do that on January 6th, and they didn't allow him to do that. The governor has given the adjutant general the authority to determine how many members of the Guard will be activated. All right, let's see what the official letter says from Washington. They say, all right, dear Major General Welsh, this is from the governor to the Washington Military Department. He says, okay, hey, Major General, based upon general and specific information and concerns regarding the potential for violence and other unlawful activity related to the 2024 general election, I want to ensure we're fully prepared to respond to any additional civil unrest of the type described in the rules within Washington state, leading up to and potentially extending beyond November 5th and the date of the general election. And Washington's a pretty blue state. Like, why would there be riots and protests there? Would it be because Trump's going to win and they're going to be very upset about it there? The U.S. Department of Homeland Security has warned that threats to election infrastructure during the 2024 election cycle remains high. The southwest region of Washington state has already experienced specific instances of election-related unrest. On October 28th, an incendiary device was set up a drop box called Vancouver, Washington, damaging or destroying hundreds of ballots, and a similar device that we talked about here hit Portland, Oregon. Now, in response to the situation described above and the potential for further violence and illegal activity, I am directing the Washington National Guard to prepare to provide critical public safety support by activating the necessary Washington National Guard personnel in a standby status. And just to zoom out on this, okay, it's interesting how this is framed by the people who do it, okay? There's not going to be any media hyperventilating about this. They'll just say, well, yeah, there could be attacks by right-wingers. But remember back in the last election in 2020 when Trump said we should send 10,000 National Guard to Washington, D.C., executed a letter, and we got a letter back from Muriel Bowser that said, we don't want your troops because they said that Trump was going to take over the Capitol if he was allowed to stand up National Guard there. We heard it. They're like, no. We don't want National Guard around the Capitol when the election is right around the corner. Can't have that. So she rejected it, and then they caused a riot to happen by having cops on the balconies shooting at peaceful protesters' faces, causing crowds to go wild, obviously, because they're getting shot in the face, to provide critical public safety support. That's all Trump wanted to do. And they said he was going to take over everything. So is this, by their standards, them taking over the elections? In this role, the National Guard will support local law enforcement and Washington State Patrol as needed. Our state depends on these skilled individuals for critical support to protect the public health and safety and welfare, to include support necessary to protect vital infrastructure related to carrying out free and fair elections. All right. To respond to any unrest related to the general election. So there's kind of two issues that are commingled here. One is election infrastructure. The other is unrest. What are the threats to the infrastructure? We'd like to really get clear on those. And what is the unrest? Unrest can impact election infrastructure. Sure, there's riots outside a polling place, but it doesn't necessarily mean that the election infrastructure will be problematic if there is unrest. So what other problems are there in the election that DHS is communicating? Is it about the incendiary devices from the Free Gaza crowd, as alleged? Now, preparation to respond to civil unrest of the type already experienced will also require state-level coordination and the additional support functions within our systems. Under the laws, the governor says, I am authorized to order the Washington National Guard or any part thereof into active service as I deem proper, and I'm doing that now. It's required for the protection of public health, safety, and the welfare for the people they deserve. So therefore, I, Jay Inslee, governor of the state of Washington, and in response to the above request, believing this action is necessary, hereby deem appropriate that the military support the public safety efforts related to the election and become activated. This order expires on November 8th, 2024. Very truly yours, the governor. So Jay Inslee, the governor, is now deploying the National Guard over there, and we'll see what they do. Last time Trump made this suggestion, they said he was going to take over the country. So we'll see if Inslee is going to be taking over the elections. We now know that Jenna Griswold and the governor of Colorado, just a stone's throw away from Washington, have actively deployed an operation to update hundreds of machines overnight without providing any notice or opportunity for the Republican Party to file a lawsuit, to get an injunction, to do anything, or even really have a say in it. They just did it. So we'll see if this is along the same vein, or it's just a smart security thing to make sure that the liberal Antifa rioters who are going to go bananas after Trump wins don't torch their own cities down again like they did the last time Trump won.